on, guys? How y'all doing? Again, this is the Club of the Man 1993. Back up here again for another live review today, as we are here live to do a live review of SummerSlam 2019 that took place last summer on August 11th, 2019 at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Again, this is the second of my catching up on my pay-per-view reviews, as again, I was absent from YouTube for 7 months, and I have returned, of course, again. I've already told the story, so if you haven't heard the story yet and you want to hear it, go back to my return video. But anyways, we're not going to be reviewing the first main roster WWE pay-per-view I'm reviewing since returning, which is SummerSlam 2019. And again, hope you enjoy, the new setup and the new graphics and whatnot I'm doing with this now. We got Charlie Kelly in the live chat. What's up, Charlie? Haven't seen you for a while since I returned back. What's up? The build-up to SummerSlam 2019 was bad. We will talk about that, because overall, SummerSlam as a show itself, I thought was a pretty good show to watch. I didn't think it was, I thought it was a little bit better than I expected it to be. It was not great, but I think it was better than decent. I actually enjoyed it. It's a show I'd go back and watch sometimes if I was bored. But I do agree with Tyler. The build, the SummerSlam, was very bad. It was very lackluster. It was like matches that, you could have, you were gonna, that were sounded good on paper, but it was like, you really only need to watch like one episode of like Raw or SmackDown to know, oh, this match is happening, and you could have just missed the rest of Raw and SmackDown, missed nothing, and had this match, because it was not good build. I completely agree with you on that, Tyler, for sure. But I still felt, for the most part, SummerSlam 2019 was able to put on a good show, I thought. 2018 SummerSlam, oh yes, definitely. SummerSlam 2018 was actually my main roster pay-per-view of the year. I agree, that was better. And Charles also says, how do you feel about the coronavirus affecting WWE? It sucks. But, as I said in my AEW Dynamite review, Dynamite was still able to put on a good show. WWE just feels like they're just, just going through the motions and just saying, oh, we're doing the shows. I hate, again, how they're just showing replays of matches and just to fill time and nothing else. And I do not like the idea of WrestleMania being held in the Performance Center, because it's not gonna feel special at all. That should just be postponed, as I kept saying. But thank you guys for your questions. I hope you guys enjoy this review as I give my thoughts on SummerSlam 2019. I'm definitely going to see what happened on NXT last night. I didn't get to see it yet. I heard it was mostly a recap show, so we'll see if we ever do an NXT review or not later. But if not, then I'll continue to knock out these pay-per-view reviews. As I said, right now, with the coronavirus going on, I have been temporarily laid off from my job. I will get it back once the coronavirus settles down. So until then, I'm just going to enjoy my time off, and definitely do a lot of catching up on this channel for sure to keep myself busy. So let's get rolling in this. So I will briefly talk about the pre-show matches, as I did kind of watch the pre-show, because something did happen on this pre-show that interested me. I didn't make a graphic for it, but it was a segment. But I'll actually talk about that first, where I talk about the actual matches. So there was a segment with Elias on the pre-show. And Elias, again, was a heel at the time, doing his normal shtick, even though I felt at the time Elias was really trickling down. I mean, Elias has never been a big standout star to begin with on the main roster as it was. But with him doing his concerts and having his own little element, I felt like he had some type of juice to him. And I see your question in the live chat, Charlie. I'll get to that in a little bit. So I felt like this is where he was really becoming flat. But we had Edge surprise us and come out, and he hit a spear on Elias. I'm like, Edge, don't be teasing me there, my friend. Of course, though, he teased, and he came back, as we all know. But of course, we'll talk about that more. I kind of talked about already in my Raw review, recently since coming back. But of course, we will talk about it for sure when we get to my Royal Rumble review, for sure, when we get to that. But I'm like, at the time, Edge, don't tease me, man, because Edge is one person, again, that I'd always wish I was able to watch live, and now I'm getting that chance to do so. But that was a nice little tease to say, hey, I'm coming, if you know what I mean. But just to get that out there. But other than that, here's what the pre-show matches. The first one we had was for the Cruiserweight Championship. I think might have been, I think, the last time the Cruiserweight Championship was... No, I'm sorry. It was defended at Clash of Champions. I think. Yeah, I believe it was, yes. This was the last time, I think... No, the second to last time that the Cruiserweight Championship was defended on a main roster show before it became an NXT title. Drew Gulak and Oney Lorcan, that was a solid match. Didn't feel it was really like a SummerSlam worthy feud, though. I felt it was just a match that probably could have taken place on 205 Live or something. But I thought it was still pretty solid for the pre-show for what I saw, and Drew Gulak retained. All I gotta say about this was a dumb throwaway match. Apollo Crews and Buddy Murphy. Now, the reason why I think they did this match was to kind of continue on the story that was going on with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Erick Rowan, the whole idea of who attacked Roman Reigns. Because remember, guys, Roman Reigns was not on SummerSlam. I was very surprised Vince would leave Roman Reigns off SummerSlam. But they kind of inserted Buddy Murphy into this feud to kind of give him a little bit of a rub. He did have 2 really good matches in the midst of this feud. He had a great match with Roman Reigns on SmackDown shortly after this, and he also had a great match where he beat Daniel Bryan, which I thought was awesome as well. But as I said before, that storyline was super botched. Whenever they did that big reveal of, like, who is it really? And it ends up being just a duplicate Erick Rowan lookalike. And it ended up being Erick Rowan, and they kind of felt like thrown away. Because think about this. They gave Erick Rowan a victory over Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions, which we'll talk about soon also, about that show, because that was not a good show. Over Roman Reigns, just for him to get a pet spider as this big reveal of some mystery thing he was carrying in a cage. But this match basically was just to kind of further story because Crews and Murphy took on each other, and then it just said just for Erick Rowan to come out and attack Buddy Murphy. But it was like a pointless matches to have. Like they could have just had this on like SmackDown or something. I thought it was stupid, but that's what happened there with that match. And then the third match was the IKonics taking on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who had recently just won the tag titles off of the IKonics, who did absolutely nothing while they were tag champions. They didn't even appear on TV, for crying out loud. At least Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross appeared on TV and had matches when they were tag champions. But this is just a pre-show match. I don't remember it. I don't care at all, but Bliss and Cross retained. But that was the pre-show. I'll answer Charlie's questions in the live chat really quick here. How do you feel about Goldberg versus Roman Reigns? It'll be a good match, but is Roman Reigns main eventing too much? Oh yeah, for sure. One, Roman Reigns does not need to be main eventing. Well, now that WrestleMania has become 2 shows, I'm pretty sure they'll have one main event one night, your main event another night. But I still don't like it being at the Performance Center. And I don't care if it's 2 days. I don't like it. And I've been fine with Roman Reigns and Goldberg, but the freaking title does not need to be involved in the match. It should have been still kept on Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt and John Cena should have had a title. At least there's a story there with Bray Wyatt trying to avenge that loss at WrestleMania 30, and for John Cena to go after his 17th world title. Would have made better sense, but nope, they had to screw it up at Super Showdown. Charlie had liked Elias as a heel more when he was always used to get interrupted. True, but the thing I had a problem with, though, was the fact I felt like they were kind of like taking that concert idea away from him when he was a heel last year when he moved to SmackDown, and he was too focused at Shane McMahon's crony. If they would have kept him at his concerts, I think it would have been more manageable. But the fact that they're taking that away, I felt that's what hurt him. But that's why I like him as a babyface right now, with what he's doing with that. He thought that was a very bad match, that why couldn't Buddy win it and then Rowan attack Buddy after. Very true, but, just a waste. It was Rikishi run over Stone Cold back at Survivor Series 1999. Yep, remember, and we knew that. I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people. And, that whole thing right there. But thank you for yourself in the live chat, guys. Let's move on to the main card now. Because actually was a pretty good main card, for the most part. The first match was Becky Lynch versus Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship in Toronto. It was meant to be a face-on-face feud, but they made these two brutally hate each other for what reasons? Obviously, with them being in Canada, obviously they wanted to give Natalya, a Canadian, some type of spotlight. the build for this was just super duper weird, but I like how they made it a submission match. I know also around the time this was around the 1 year anniversary of Natty's real life father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart's death. And the thing is also is I've always liked Natty. I always think Natty is a very well respected veteran who could put people over, but also got her victories as well. The problem is though, the biggest problem WWE's had with their women's division is the fact that they're not building any depth in whatsoever, not giving them anything else to do to keep them relevant. And then when it comes time for them needing someone to fight for a title match, they just feel like it feels lopsided, and it's just like so obvious. Becky Lynch is going to retain. Natalya was going to be Becky Lynch in this match, no doubt about it. It was very predictable. But that being said, though, I still thought it was a great submission match for sure. Becky would win though, getting Natty to tap out to the disarmer in the submission. And that's really that. I mean, I still thought it was great, but once again, it was very predictable because, why would they gave Natty nothing else to do before this? So all of a sudden is Natty able to start, looking powerful again? They would just like make them all the women feel relevant. We wouldn't have this problem. But it is what it is. But yeah, still a good opening match. I still thought it was a very good match to open up, and that happens. Afterwards, you have an interview with Trish Stratus backstage because Trish was in a match on the show. She says she feels great, she's nervous and excited, but in terms of pressure, she's a Hall of Famer and a 7-time champion, and her life shines brightest under the biggest spotlight. And the hardest part is the waiting. Charlotte's been running around saying the women of today are better athletes than when they were competing, and Flair has no idea how lucky she is. She's going to prove to everyone that Charlotte couldn't walk a mile in her boots, and if she's the queen, then honey, she's the queen of queens. Then we have Goldberg. Wait, hold on. We'll pull the graphic first. I almost forgot. Our second match was Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. So, before the match starts, Dolph comes out and cuts a promo about how he's the best thing to happen to the show and to WWE in general. Dolph, listen, man. I think you're a great talent. I think you are super talented for sure. But you're letting the WWE constantly make you look like an idiot and just take loss after loss after loss after loss after loss. You are part of stables to eat the pins to protect somebody else, unfortunately. But with that being said, though, despite the idea, and Tyler pointed this out in my last stream, Dolph Ziggler gets squashed by Goldberg, yet a month later, he's Raw Tag Team Champion, which I get for sure, that's definitely stupid. Then again, there was no depth in that tag team division anyways, because there was pretty much almost no tag teams on Raw. At least SmackDown has some established tag teams, but there's still, but Raw's tag team division is completely dead. It should be deleted because Matt Hardy appeared in the AEW last night. But even though that's the case, at the time I still could say I did kind of like this match. It was the match started with Goldberg. Eating a super kick or two, but he kicked out at one, and then a second one he kicked out as well. But back on his feet, Goldberg speared him and hit him with a jackhammer and won. After the match, though, Dolph's on the ground, grabbing a microphone, and he's like, "Hey, Bill, that spear was like getting hit like a baby, and he doesn't have the guts to fight him like a man." Goldberg goes back, another spear, and then still wasn't enough. Ziggler was down, calls him out again, and tells him, "Anybody can get lucky twice, but you're an idiot. He'll never slay him down." And then Bill comes in, draws Dolph up, looks at him in the eyes before patting his back off the ropes, and hits a third spear on him to get him down. And yes, this was dumb. This was kind of like, what was really the point of this? I think the only reason why they did this was because Goldberg had that really bad match with Taker, and they kind of wanted to wash that bad taste out of the both of them, which is why they gave him that match. Well, they had Taker and Roman team up randomly to take on Shane and McIntyre in a no-holds-barred match at Extreme Rules, which that was a good match, but of course, the idea of doing it was dumb. Same with this, but I accepted it. It was still, it was nice to see Goldberg actually get have a dominating match for sure. what was Dolph gonna gain? Like, did you really think Dolph Ziggler was gonna have a chance of beating Goldberg? No, because originally, of course, they were teasing us for Miz and Dolph Ziggler, which in 2016 that was an excellent feud. But with how bad they watered both of them down, it was stupid to have them have a match at SummerSlam. But because of course they kind of teased us because Dolph was kind of like disrespecting legends, and they kind of were teased the match with him because he super kicked Shawn Michaels. They teased Shawn Michaels and Dolph Ziggler. I'm like, okay, if you were able to waste Shawn Michaels having a return match at Crown Jewel in 2018, you can give him a match with Dolph Ziggler, right? No, they gave it to him and Goldberg instead, which it was what it was. I liked it for what it was. I mean, it was just nice to see Goldberg have like a dominating victory to get the crowd hot and whatnot, but this was not really anything like super spectacular, I gotta say. Goldberg wins, spears Dolph a couple more times afterwards. Fine by me. It is what it was. It wasn't overdone. It was just, it did what it needed to do. So that's my thoughts on that match. The next match is the United States Championship. AJ Styles taking on Ricochet. This match was good, but I kind of set my expectations a little bit too high for this match, I think. I think what happened was Ricochet won the United States Championship off of Samoa Joe at Stomping Grounds. And then they were putting him into a feud with AJ Styles. Obviously, having AJ get a victory to kind of like, obviously not, give Ricochet, too big of a push, but to kind of show he has something still to prove. So for this match, I was kind of hoping, I was setting my expectations pretty high. I wanted to literally see a match caliber of of AJ Styles and John Cena at not WrestleMania 16. SummerSlam 2016. That's what I was kind of hoping. Like, kind of how it was for it's kind of how it was for what's it called? How it was for AJ Styles. Like, he needed like that big victory to really put him over, which is what happened at SummerSlam 2016. I was hoping that here for Ricochet. Instead, we got a B-level match that wasn't much different than Extreme Rules. It was good, but I was left a little disappointed. And AJ Styles retained. And ever since then, like, AJ Styles was like, I love AJ, but he was feuding with guys, but it didn't feel like the guys he was feuding with were getting put over too well. And that's what happened with Cedric Alexander. We'll talk about that one when we get to Clash of Champions. That AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander feud, that pissed me off. I am still so mad about that. He had a feud with Alberto as U.S. champion, but they were much Roberto either. And it's not AJ's fault. It just wasn't really working, unfortunately. So this match was good, but again, it kind of disappointed me a little bit because I was expecting better for sure. And also before the match, I forgot to mention this, but we had Carmella and Truth in disguise because Drake Maverick is trying to get the 24/7 title. Do you remember those days? Drake Maverick, just refused to consummate his marriage. He's more obsessed with the 24/7 title. It's like why was Renee Michelle still with him if he was doing that? It was still super stupid. But and also after this match with Styles and Ricochet, Gallows and Anderson hit a magic killer on Ricochet. So like Ricochet didn't really get over. It was weird. I don't know why that happened. So I mean, it was a good match, but I mean, it wasn't like the absolute burial they had recently with Ricochet when he got squashed by Brock Lesnar at Super Showdown, and he lost to Riddick Moss the next night on the next episode of Raw. That's just bad. Poor Ricochet. Poor Ricky. Hey, he has Casey Catanzaro at least. We can give him that. But we also had the Street Profits hyping up as usual, and he had a segment with Ric Flair. Again, the Street Profits, are fun, but when they're not wrestling, they kind of the WWE overdoes it with their scripted booking and whatnot. But the next match we had was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is before Bayley had turned heel. Which I was a surprise heel turn, as I kept saying. She had a match with Ember Moon. Basically, the story was here, Bayley, had, finally gotten out of that dumb feud with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, so she basically got to pick her competition next, and she picked Ember Moon, which, okay, fresh match for sure. Ember Moon's an upcoming star, but Vince McMahon was just not that high on her, unfortunately. And WWE didn't really put any effort to make any story out of this match. And, the match I thought was solid when they had it shows that these two are talented. They are awesome. Well, especially Ember Moon. I mean, we already see Bayley being awesome. I mean, yes, she's not really been that strong as the SmackDown Women's Champion because they're kind of like just made her be like the weak women's champion out of all the other women's champions, I felt personally. And they've gotten the storyline wrong with her and Sasha. Again, it feels like, Bayley's overpowering Sasha, when it should be the opposite. It feels like Sasha has, no power over Bayley, as it should be the story. But again, Vince never really had any expectations for Ember Moon. And shortly after this, Ember Moon got injured, and she's out for, a year and a half, I keep hearing. So I don't know when she's going to be back. But the match was not bad. It was solid, but the crowd just didn't react to this match because there's nothing to it. And for those who didn't watch NXT, they don't know who the heck Ember Moon is. So it's just a shame, unfortunately, because Ember Moon is super talented, but WWE is giving her absolutely, nothing. And Bayley retains with an avalanche Bayley to belly to get the victory. So we had that match. Then we had Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. And if Kevin Owens loses, he will quit the WWE. Here's the thing. Going into this match, I mean, if this should have been when the feud should have ended right here. This should have been when Shane McMahon was written off TV. Instead, the thing was, if they would have done that, I would have been fine with this. Even though I still keep saying, was it just me, or was almost all of Shane McMahon's feuds as a heel in 2019 very inconclusive? Why was Miz used as just a crony to put over Shane McMahon? Again, they had something going for Miz as a babyface, believe it or not. I personally felt they had something going. And what should have happened was the Miz should have eventually got his comeuppance and defeated Shane to write him off TV. Kevin Owens, I mean, well, okay, also keep in mind, they had Roman feud with Shane, but then Roman lost to Shane at Super Showdown, but then Roman beat Drew McIntyre at Stomping Grounds with interference from Shane McMahon, and then Undertaker pinned whichever one was Shane or McIntyre at Extreme Rules, so that feud felt inconclusive. So, I mean, I get they're kind of trying to light the fire again under Kevin Owens' babyface, but during this build, they were either making him too much like Stone Cold Steve Austin, or they made him too soft. So to me, it was like, why was Kevin Owens the guy to write Shane McMahon off TV? But with that being said, though, I mean, if they wouldn't have dragged this out, though, just having, Owens win here, and Shane gets written off TV, great. They did it, though. But still, at the time, I thought that this match was still good. The drama involved in it, they had, some distractions come out with, Elias and a few other, and a few other people got involved. I think it was just Elias, though, came out. But I still thought this was still a good match for sure. Obviously, this was kind of like a blood feud in some ways that at the time I thought was working, but then again they dragged it on too long. Always got the win though, and it was only like a 10-11 minute match. It's all it needed to be. So I thought this was still good, even though there was some cracks in it and this got dragged too long. I thought around the time if they would just cut it right here, then good. But, still not gonna knock on that, but still, I did like how it just dragged on long just to have a random ladder match on the first SmackDown of Fox, which was weird. But, so that's my thoughts on that match. Check the live chat real quick, see what we got here. So we have some action going on in the live chat. Let's see here. Charlie says, I didn't like that. I would have preferred something like Nia Jax versus Becky. If Nia was healthy, I still think if Nia Jax is healthy, despite the fact that I can't stand Nia Jax, they definitely need to have a feud with Nia Jax and Becky Lynch because of that history that they have with each other. With Nia breaking Becky's face and whatnot. That should be a feud, even though I'm definitely not a fan of that. Let me see here. bad build up right before SummerSlam. They should have done it like a Saudi Arabia show. Exactly. The whole SummerSlam was just a joke, Charlie thought. Tyler said if I was booking, Randy should have went to Raw and AJ faced Kofi for the WWE title on this show, which could have happened. Which we'll get to Orton and Kofi in a second. What a bad moment with WWE. Preferred the Seth Rollins versus Z. What's the Z mean? Intercontinental Championship match. Not sure what you mean there. What was your favorite match of that night for this show? It's a good question, actually. Maybe the main event. Or we still have which other matches were left on this show that we had. Again, at the time, Owens. Oh no, I'm sorry. I know what my favorite match on this show was. Well, besides, I have a couple actually. I could say. I think most of the matches of the rest of the show were up there, but I still maybe say my favorite match tonight. Besides the main event, I thought was pretty good. I would say maybe Charlotte and Trish. I think I would say. Let me see here. I feel the reason Shane won all the matches as a heel was because he is a McMahon. Right, I mean, I get you had to, build him up. I feel like, at some point, like, The Miz should at least gotten his comeuppance on him. And the Seth match was 2018 SummerSlam. Oh, Seth and Ziggler at 2018. Okay, yeah, that was a good opening match for sure. That SummerSlam match, even though that feud kind of went backwards because they went from an Iron Man match just a one-on-one match, which was strange, but still good though. Let me see here. Before the next match, we had a video package of Roman Reigns and his horrible, no good, very bad, career-threatening week, basically, because they botched that whole thing, as I said. But the next match was gotta be, I'd say, besides the main event, is probably my next favorite match of the night. Charlotte Flair and Trish Stratus. Now, some people thought this match was kind of slow. I agree, but still, I thought it was still a very good match between these two women. And I think this probably most likely is Trish Stratus' last match for sure. And what a way to go out with it to have it happen, in her hometown, well, in her home country of Toronto. We had a couple good close near falls. Trish had a figure 4 locked in, bridged it up to a figure 8 as well. Charlotte gets out and Trish hits a spear, a bulldog, and a Stratus fraction. Stratus faction could put her away. She gets a good near fall off a jackknife pin, another one off the chick kick, but another big boot. Charlotte picks up the figure 4 leg lock and she gets Trish to tap out. Still thought it was, even though you probably couldn't get like an absolute classic, Trish is a little bit older, I still thought, she looked great in the match, and I thought it was a good way to definitely, I think it would have been nice to see Trish maybe get the win, and have, not Charlotte, have Charlotte, have like one legend she couldn't beat or something like that. So I thought this was a good match. I still think it was one of my favorite matches of the night for sure. Afterwards, Trish does get a standing ovation afterwards, which she definitely deserves. So, and that most likely may have been it for her. I mean, I have not been able to watch her 24 special yet, though. I know there was that one there, but this most likely was Trish's last match, and if it was, fine by me. Good way to go out. And, even though I thought first there could have been a chance she could have won it, go ahead and put over Charlotte as well. So, yep, that's it for that match. Next match, WWE Championship. Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. Now, in a live chat before, Tyler said it should have been Kofi and AJ if AJ didn't go to Raw. Which Kofi and AJ on paper would be good. You had to do this feud, though. While Kofi was champion. You had to. With the history they have had from 2009, it had to happen. And here's the thing. We've been talking about how the build for the show was bad. This match was like the opposite. The build was great. The match. This was probably I would say Ember Moon and Bayley was weak. This match I felt was disappointing. I don't know. It's like the build, the build on SmackDown I thought was excellent. With, the history and whatnot. How Kofi wanted this match because he felt he had something to prove. and then Randy Orton still trying to continuously, just get into the head of Kofi. And I feel like in the build, he played it up well. When the matches happened, though, they felt off. Even the one at Clash of Champions. I thought, even though, well, first off, the way this match ended, which I thought was stupid. Orton, and Kofi rolled onto the floor outside the ring. And then Kofi, the man who, Orton, it was weird. They're both outside of the ring, and it's like they purposely did not get back inside. I felt like, they knew they should have gone back in, but they didn't. It looked very off, very botched. This thing where, Orton was, trying to, rub it in Kofi's family's faces, about something, and it just looked really like a very dumb finish. It was a double count out, and I'm like, why? Why? I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember that, it was one of the things where it's they had purposely stayed outside the ring, and it was it looked very botched. So the match ends in a double count out, and then Kofi gets a kendo stick and starts walloping Orton, just shattering the bamboo over it. And the crowd was booing, actually. I don't think they were booing Kofi, but I think they were just booing, the booking of this. Because it was just weird. I get maybe they were trying to get this to Hell in a Cell, but they didn't get it to Hell in a Cell because Kofi beat Orton at the next show and then drops the title to Brock Lesnar in 6 seconds. And he was completely cool with it. The build to this feud was great. But the matches, I don't know what it was. They just didn't hit home for me. And this ending, too, especially in this one, was just dumb. I just wasn't a fan of it at all. I don't know why they did that, but it happened. So, Kofi retains by double count out here. Now, this next match, though, well, first, make sure there's nothing else to happen in between. No, there was not. The next match, though, was awesome. I mean, it was a short match, but did its job. Awesome. Finn Balor versus the first match of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So, around this time, it was announced that Finn Balor was planning on taking some time off after SummerSlam for about 2 months. Which he did. But he actually returned to NXT on the October 2nd edition. So, this is kind of the match to write him off with. I don't know, I'm a little surprised he didn't come out as a demon for this match. But basically, Bray Wyatt targeted Finn Balor. Because the story of The Fiend has always been that he's targeting the people who hurt him. And he's getting his revenge. So, of course, one of them being Finn Balor. Good opponent to put him over at SummerSlam. And it did. Because, at first, I wasn't a big fan of the Firefly Funhouse at first when it came around. Because first I'm like, what's this? Just some type of like a Mr. Rogers Kids Day. But then when they add the creepy, stuff into it and whatnot, I'm just like, okay, this is juicing up. And then this appearance he had, the entrance he had, the match he had, which was a short little, not complete squash because Balor got some offense in. But the match that they had, I'm just like, yeah, it did what it had to do. And Bray Wyatt won, and just like that, Bray Wyatt was back on superstar level. Yes, they wounded him with the Hell in a Cell stuff, which we'll talk about that when we get to Hell in a Cell, and with his loss to Goldberg, but the moment was still awesome for sure. Bray Wyatt gets the victory, and then afterwards the lights go out, we get a laughter that goes across the arena, the light flashes while Bray stands there, and when they come all back up, Finn is only in the ring, dry heaving, collecting himself, because obviously, he was just like, what the heck was that? Because we had, him, whiplash Balor. Balor had offense, but the moment that it was all downhill for Balor was when Bray whiplashed Balor's neck with a snap neck crank. And then hits a rock bottom. And then, of course, I like how at one point in the match, Bray's like, what have I done? Before, again, just, embracing the Fiend. Showing, he has that sympathetic side to him. Oh no, what have I done? But you know what? It's like, the Fiend's embracing him, and he makes him feel powerful. It's like in Spider-Man with Eddie Brock and Venom. It's like, even though his intentions is to hurt Peter Parker, he doesn't want to hurt anybody else. He's like, what have I done? But as Venom, he still, has power, and like he says, I like being mean. It makes makes me happy. So basically, Bray Wyatt, despite the fact without him showing that sympathetic side, it still, has that darkness to him as the Fiend. So it's basically him saying, I don't want to hurt Finn, but I like being mean. It makes me happy. And eventually led to Bray Wyatt pinning. I think Finn went for the coup de grace, but then it avoided him, and then Bray countered with the mandible claw to get the victory, which of course just was an awesome way to put him over. And then finally we had our main event: Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Obviously, this was... Here's the thing. This rematch could have happened because I feel like, okay, the way Seth won at Mania, obviously, we didn't want to see him win by, low-blowing Lesnar. We wanted to see him actually, look like he could beat Lesnar without pulling, a tactic like that. So he had something to prove. And they could have just done a rematch without putting the title back on Brock and wasting the Money in the Bank contract. Instead, they wasted the contract, took the title off of Seth for no reason, and then, even though, once again, that's around the time where Seth was really starting to get internet heat because of the stuff he was saying on the internet, and he really kind of, lost a lot of respect from the fans. But, I still will give him credit. I thought this match with him and Brock was good. Yes, he was working this match, selling, injuries, because the past week or two, Brock had pulled off some pretty good segments, beating down Seth Rollins, and literally hurting him, and whatnot. And I actually thought those were definitely when I started thinking, okay, Brock still could do it if he actually gives a crap. But I thought he really put over Seth good in this match. Seth actually won this match without pulling off any tag. Seth beat Brock Lesnar without having to low blow him or anything. He countered German suplexes. He had ragdolled Seth around with the tape. But Seth had done the frog splash through the announce table. And then, of course, it did take a couple, one or two, I think, curb stops him kicked out of. Brock almost went for an F5, but Raw was able to slip out of it. The match showed that, Seth was at least able to counter Brock pretty well. He was basically, on the alert, on his game. And that's what we needed to see. A match like this, where, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a match of the year, but it probably could have been a little bit better. But I still felt, Seth looked like he knew what he was doing in the match, despite the fact that he was hurt. I still thought he came across looking good in the match, and he beats Brock clean, and he gets the title back. So yeah, I thought that was good for what it was. Yes, it definitely wasn't as good as we probably expected. And I know Seth lost a lot of respect at this point, and I know they kind of wasted putting the title back on Brock. But I felt like it was the win we needed to see from Seth. I felt, instead of him just low blowing Brock, hitting 3 curb stops like that at WrestleMania, which was still good for what it was. I still give it that the moment was awesome, but obviously he needed to still prove himself, and this match right here did so. So that's my thoughts on SummerSlam, guys. If I could give it a show a grade, I'll give it a B. Give it a B. I thought it was good. Wasn't the best SummerSlam, but it was still a good show. All the matches, despite some pretty bad build to them, most of them still I thought delivered, were worth sitting through. Again, the only match on the main show that I was really disappointed with was Kofi and Orton, I thought. Other than that, still a good show. Should we see what we got here? Let me see what we got here in a lot of chat before we go off the air here. The Seth match was... Oh, I got that. Hell yeah, what a match. I'm glad they did it when they did, not to sound like a build-up for Mania, because that's easily a WrestleMania main event. Trish, a Hall of Famer, and Charlotte, 10-time champ. Well, this was before she was a 10-time champ. Actually, yes, it was before. She was a 9-time champ. Tower thought it was stupid. What a year for Kofi. That WrestleMania moment gave him goosebumps for sure. AJ and Joe for the 2018 SummerSlam title of 2018 was better than Kofi and Orton for 2019 SummerSlam for the WWE title. Brock sucks. I hope he will actually leave permanently one day and go back to UFC for sure. He feels they should have done the Fiend versus the Demon, because if you remember, they did actually finish their feud in 2017 when it was going to be the Demon. Oh gosh. Well, okay, I'm glad they finished it this way, but I did not want to see Pumpkin King Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt and drag. That was, oh gosh, and that feud was being dragged on too. Like, that should have ended after that man versus man match at No Mercy. That I'm so glad that match did not happen. I'm unfortunate that Bray got sick, but that match should not have happened. I thought. The Charlotte and Trish should have been the main event. I agree, would have been nice. I don't want another Money in the Bank ever again. Oh boy. I mean, we're going to have to, but I'm not sure. Hopefully it will actually be good. This match, if you listen closely, that Seth was starting to get booed, which from then started him down his heel route. I personally felt that they kind of started that even like over the summer as well, when he started saying all that stuff on Twitter. I mean, yes, he was getting bad booking in that horrible feud with him and Baron Corbin, but again, Seth was just running his mouth. But I think the real nail in the coffin was the Hell in a Cell match. But again, we'll talk about that when we get to Hell in a Cell. Bayley and Ember sucked. It did skirt SummerSlam would be pay-per-view. Okay, not a SummerSlam for sure. But yeah, I mean, Ember and Bayley did suck in my opinion, but they got no reaction because there was no build to it. I mean, they could put on a good match, but once again, there was no build to it, and they just didn't give Ember a chance, unfortunately. But guys, that's going to do it again. I gave SummerSlam 2019 a B. The next pay-per-view review I do is NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. And again, if I'm able to also find a way to watch it, I will do AEW All Out whenever I'm able to, because both of those took place on August 31st, 2019. So guys, once again, what are your thoughts on SummerSlam 2019? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video, subscribe for more content on my channel, follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBody3. Charlie, one more thing to say to the live chat. I know, how do you feel about Monday Night Messiah and Buddy Murphy and AOP together with Seth? I like it, but they're dragging it out too long with this stuff with him and Kevin Owens. It's too repetitive, in my opinion. I will say that. But definitely make sure to tune into one of my Raw reviews. Definitely talk more about that stuff for sure, Charlie. But yeah, guys, again, next stream will either be I'll see what happened on NXT. Maybe do a quick stream on that. But my next pay-per-view stream is going to be NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. So once again, guys, what are your thoughts on SummerSlam? Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video. Subscribe or contact my channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBody3. And with that, guys, I'm checking out. I will see you guys all later. Until, guys, have a great rest of your day, and peace out, buddy.